The chairman of Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, expresses confidence measures implemented by the electoral body will ensure next year's general election is transparent, free, fair, and credible.
A number of things need to happen. First and foremost, the Independent National Electoral Commission, which I am privileged to chair, has to do its work with professionalism, without partiality, and creating a level playing field for all contestants and all political parties. We have resolved to do this just as we have done in 2015. We in fact have planned to do even better in order to have to further enforce the integrity of the electoral process.
My name is Bright Nana Amfo, and tonight we'll focus on preparations for the 2015 polls in Nigeria and also the continued violence in the Central African Republic. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, Professor Atahiru Muhammadu Jega, told Voice of America the Independent National Electoral Commission has received assurances from both the government and legislators that the commission will get the funds it needs to organize next year's presidential, legislative and local elections. Both local and international election monitoring groups said Nigeria's 2007 elections failed to meet international standards. The election monitors, however, said the 2011 one was credible and better organized.
A number of things need to happen. First and foremost, the Independent National Electoral Commission, which I am privileged to chair, has to do its work with professionalism, without partiality, and creating a level playing field for all contestants and all political parties. We have resolved to do this just as we have done in 2015. We in fact have planned to do even better in order to have to further enforce the integrity of the electoral process. But beyond just what the election management body does, there is need for the stakeholders to also do their best to contribute to having free, fair and credible elections. Politicians really have to conduct themselves with civility. They have to guard and watch their utterances so that they do not make statements which are inflammatory and which are capable of igniting conflicts and violence. I say this because regrettably, as we move closer to 2015 elections in Nigeria, we have seen a tendency in which politicians, first of all, don't respect the rule of the games and do not guard their utterances. So this is very, very important. Of course, all other stakeholders have a responsibility to come into the electoral process with a positive attitude and with commitment and resolve to contribute to ensuring that the elections are peaceful, are free and are fair. So really, both the election management body and all stakeholders have a positive role to play, and we must all join hands together and do our best. We've also recognized the need for partnerships. You know, but we have to strengthen relationships and partnerships with all stakeholders so that we can build mutual trust and confidence, and so that every partner or stakeholder knows his or her role and plays it appropriately. And of course, we also realize that an election management body cannot please everybody. The key challenge is to remain focused and to discharge the responsibility impartially and on a non-partisan manner. And we have been doing our best also to ensure that that happens. Of course, we've also learned lessons about ensuring that the logistics are right and the funding is there to be able to do all the procurements in good time before the elections.
The chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission of Nigeria is speaking to us on the big story. But let's first of all go to Ben Alozis, the deputy editor of the Union newspaper. He's just on the line from Nigeria. Ben, thanks so much for staying there for us.
It is my pleasure.
Ben, first of all, some 10 months away, Nigeria are beginning to build up ahead of the 2015 elections. The assurances that the Independent Electoral Commission is receiving, how assuring are they that they will go ahead to ensure that the 2015 elections are held and are deemed credible, free, and fair?
Yes, I would like to tell you that Nigerians are quite apprehensive of the rising tension, the political tension in the country ahead of the 2015 presidential election. Be that as it may, the chairman of the electoral committee, Professor Jega, has assured Nigerians that his committee has put in place all that he thinks would make the election credible. However, Nigerians are a bit worried because of the way the last election in Anambra State was conducted. The election in Anambra State was full of a lot of flaws arising from late arrival of electoral materials and allegations of rigging. So Nigerians are really worried how much Jiga and his men would be able to address the issues arising, especially from the very last election, so that come 2015, the elections will be very, very fair and credible indeed. Nigerians are watching and indeed concerned.
Ben, hold the line for me. Let me try and speak to the programs manager of the West African Network for Peace Building, Chukwemeka Eze, is also on Skype. Chukwu, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much.
Now, let's quickly look at this. Nigerians are worried about the flaws that were recorded in previous elections, and so the idea is to make sure we have a solid, credible, free and fair elections in 2015. Now, what are the security implications of an election that is deemed flawed in a country like Nigeria?
I think one of the things to bear in mind is that Nigeria is divided along so many lines. First of all, there are lines of ethnicity, there are lines of religion, there are lines of political parties, and there are several other lines. So it is important that elections in Nigeria are not just free and fair, but it's actually seen to be transparent, free and fair. And that's where you reduce the tendencies of people going on the streets to contest the election. So it is very, very key. And again, bearing in mind the strategic position of Nigeria in the sub-region, it is very, very key that Nigeria election is not only free and fair, but devoid of any form of violence.
You have monitored the previous elections, and it's been described as not being that credible, that free and fair. After that, have you seen perhaps changes in attempts at ensuring that any other election is that credible and fair?
I think you also saw the nexus between what Nigeria considers to be not very free and fair election and what the aftermath of it is in terms of the level of violence that was recorded. But I think that lessons have been learned, And there is enormous belief in the credibility of the head of INEC to organize free and fair elections. I think what happens most times is that that credibility is not translated to the people in the field. So, and I think, like I said earlier, lessons have been learned. So that is one area that INEC needs to build more strength into to ensure that ad hoc INEC electoral officials are people without questionable character that also share in the vision of the INEC chair and the team to organize free and fair elections.
Chuka, let me ask you this before I go back to Ben. The officials that you're talking about, certainly INEC cannot have officials across the whole of Nigeria to be able to get them into programs, training, and to get them ready to ensure that there's credible election. In this situation, what can INEC do?
INEC needs to decentralize. There are state electoral commissioners. There are called resident electoral commissioners. There is need for decentralization. Let the mobilization of ad hoc electoral officials begin at the state level. And let all the people who are supposed to manage the sensitive electoral process, especially the presiding officers and the deputy presiding officers, there is need for them to share in the vision of INEC. And to an extent, let them have background checks of some of these people. Over the past few years, what has happened is that teachers and head of schools have been used, and these people need to be, background checks need to be conducted on them before the electoral process. I think it's very, very important that INEC decentralize at the state level.
Now, Ben, let me come to you. You said Nigerians are worried because of perhaps the flaws in the previous elections. Now, let's look at this. Are they worried because perhaps their party failed to win because of the flaws, or they are worried because they think that the electoral system is not clean enough?
Well, they are worried because it is the wish of every Nigerian that the 2015 general election will be very clean. It's not about clean, it's about being credible and acceptable by all. But remember, it is very difficult to have an election that everyone would certify to be free and fair. Now, the concern is arising from the comments of the politicians, their attitude, their win at all costs attitude to elections, and the fact that the INEC has not been able to really prove that they have learned from their past mistakes, from the elections conducted, especially that Anambra State election. Though every result was upheld by INEC, but people still feel that there were a lot of flaws that must be corrected, and that is where the government right now, talking about INEC, not the government really. The INEC is doing everything. They have made promises to Nigerians that they are going to conduct a very free and fair election come next year. So Nigerians are expecting that INEC would put its house in order. How they will do that? Through mobilization, through education, through logistic mobilization, to ensure that every logistic that they need, to ensure that the elections come clean and fair, are mobilized and put in place. The sore point has always been the late arrival of materials at the polling posts at designated places. Sometimes some areas hardly receive electoral materials until the time for the elections elapse. So it's a source of hope for Nigerians. And Nigerians really hope that Jega will make good his promise and ensure that the election 2015 is free and fair.
Let me go back to Chukwu. Now, Chukwu, you have been following closely the Nigerian electoral processes, the various elections that Nigeria has gone through since returning to democratic rule. Looking at the history of INEC, is it an organization that Nigerians can refuse to trust to conduct a credible election?
I think if we take it from history, there have been very credible INEC officials. There has also been very bad moments that Nigeria has to contend with. Notably, the Jega's former INEC boss was not the best that the country could get. But I think Jega is enjoying public support in terms of people's understanding of who he used to be and who he is today. So there is no doubt that there is the level of credibility of the current INEC boss. But what people have argued over time is that while the buck stops on his table, he alone cannot organize the entire election. So there is need for other Jegas around the country, both at the state level and at the local government level. And that's why I insist that it's important that they use a mechanism through which all these other people, all these other machineries will share in their vision of a credible election.
Let me wrap up with you on this. Just about some 10 months away into 2015, would you say that perhaps Nigerians are getting too worried too early into the election in 2012?
I think it's better to get too worried too early because the country is vast. Some of the issues that have been raised have to do with lack of preparation. The issue of electoral materials getting to designated places at the right time is a question of how vast the country is. And therefore, if people begin to lament early and INEC begin to take all this into consideration, then it points to the kind of elections that we'll have. More of these lamentations will come. More preparation will come. Engagement, even from the side of one to the stakeholders in the electoral process, will also come. And a lot of people are going to put acts together to see that we have a credible election in Nigeria and avoid any form of violence that will destabilize the country and the region in general.
Chukwu, thanks so much for speaking to us, Programs Manager, the West African Network for Peace Building. Let me also wrap up with Ben Alozie, the Deputy Editor of the Union newspaper in Nigeria. Ben, and of course, Nigerians are making sure that 2015 is an election that they can be proud of. What exactly are the citizens of Nigeria saying, or how do they want to see the 2015 elections being credible? What exactly do they want to see?
Yes, Nigerians are expecting that INEC would, one, make sure that the registration, voters registration, is conducted in a manner that will ensure transparency, ensure that every adult is registered for the election. And besides that, every record of registered voters are properly preserved, and at the end of the day, nobody will be disenfranchised. Nigerians are really, really bitter that some of them were disenfranchised in former elections. And they so wish that no such thing, they should not be disenfranchised for whatever reason. So Nigerians are pleading and looking forward to something totally different from the past. That is one. Two, if there are anything that INEC needs to let them know, that they should start right now to mobilize Nigerians, educate them further on how to go about it, the political parties and so on and so forth. And security is one other area that also they will not get involved. The government of the day has a responsibility. Because of the security problem in the country, the election of 2015 is going to make huge demand of the security affairs to have in the country. So Nigerians are indeed expecting that by the year 2015, that the election will be credible enough that to make them happy that they have a government or representatives of their own choice, not representatives of the choice of whoever that may have done whatever along the line.
Right. Ben, thanks so much for speaking to us. Ben Alos, the deputy editor of the Union newspaper in Nigeria. But we're not ending here in Nigeria. The International Criminal Court, the ICC, says it will open preliminary investigations into possible war crimes. The chief prosecutor, International Criminal Court announcement comes a day after the United Nations envoy to the Central African Republic, Babacar Gaye, has urged the government to make an example of those responsible.
The information concerning these alleged crimes and the profound human suffering they cause is deeply concerning. The allegations include hundreds of killings, acts of rape and sexual slavery, destruction of property, pillaging, torture, forced displacement, and recruitment and use of children in hostilities. In many incidents, victims appear to have been deliberately targeted on religious grounds.
Let me go to the phone lines again. Ilbad Ibrahim is an international news analyst, and he's just joined me. Ilbad, thanks so much for staying there. The coming into office of Catherine Samba-Panza was expected to see something good for the Central African Republic. But the sad news is that we're hearing of more killings. Just today, we're told that refugees are fleeing into Chad, and so perhaps the coming to force of Catherine Samba-Panza has not been good news after all.
Yeah, Bryce, I think the brazen disregard for human life we are witnessing is quite heart-wrenching. But there's something people are losing sight of. The narrative from the majority Christian community that is killing the minority Muslims is that in their assessment, what is happening is only justifiable retribution for excesses that were committed against them when Michel Duterte forcefully took over the reins of power in the country in March. You see, that time, the Christians formed the anti-Balaka militia to serve as a counterbalance to the clout and traction of the Seleka rebels. But they were outgunned and outmaneuvered. That is why up to now, some of us have argued that the hastened transition of power without any proper security arrangement has not helped matters because it has only enabled these sleeper cells to be activated now.
Right.
That is why this lady happens to be in good standing, but unfortunately she can't do much to resolve the problem. We condemn violence on both sides. I'm very sure that the Christians know very well that the Bible is against killing innocent people, and the Muslims also should also know that killing innocent people is not accepted, and that God Almighty encourages forgiveness in a show when there is a show of penitence. But Bright, the spate of violence has now graduated from isolated cases like the one you have mentioned to communal cleansing. This is systematic communal cleansing. For example, earlier today, a convoy of some petrified refugees was attempting to leave the country into Cameroon. But unfortunately, they fell into hostile territory. One man fell off from a truck. He was mutilated and his body was chopped into pieces. I think such barbaric crimes cannot allowed to go unpunished by the international community. That is why the rhetoric from the quarters of the United Nations has become quite emphatic in the past few days.
There is a threat of hauling people before the ICC enough to stop these killings?
I think the EU is not taking things lightly. Today there was a special plenary session of the EU, and Catherine Ashton said there are some three thematic areas that the European Union is looking at. First is they should restore some sanity to the streets of Bangui, whatever it will take them. Now, they say Resolution 2134, that was passed last month, permits the EU to use increased military force in putting things right in the country. And then secondly, on the question of political settlement, there should be a recreation of a viable, comprehensive, and all-embracing political process. The supplanting of Michel Duterte with Catherine Samba cannot in itself be a total solution to the problem. It can only be part of the political solution. And therefore, they have to revise that, and there should be some form of national reconciliation. All the various groups, the Muslim and the Christian groups, as well as the other ethnic fault lines they have there, should be duly represented. But if you say you are going to adopt an either-or approach to the problem, it's either a Muslim leader and there's a lot of problem, or a Christian leader and all the problems are resolved, then that way we cannot reach a lasting solution to the problem. And then the third most important thing, which is dear to the heart of the international community, is the escalating and debilitating humanitarian situation in the country.
Right.
Cameroon and Chad will soon not be able to cope with the influx of refugees into their countries. And therefore, much more needs to be done. And the EU has pledged some $500 million in that regard. So the situation is tenuous. It's quite unfortunate. These people had lived together alongside one another in peace and serenity for centuries. But because of power, people have turned against one another, and they are killing one another in the streets.
Irbad, we have to leave it here. Thanks so much for speaking to me. Irbad Ibrahim is an international news analyst, and we've been talking about the Central African Republic. Wrapping up the first part of the show for this Friday. The second part is coming on, and the part that gives you the opportunity to stay interactive on the issues we'll be discussing here. Thanks so much for staying there. My name is Bright, and when I come back, Gladys will be welcomed into the studio to start the interactive segment of today's big story. I'm coming back in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back tonight on Interaction. We are talking about a bizarre incident in Kumasi, and Gladys has just joined me. It's quite bizarre, Gladys.
It is very, not just
Can you imagine you have a baby and you're told you can't find the baby?
Not just that, the baby is dead, but you can't have access to the body because it's been burnt up.
Without your knowledge?
Without your consent.
Welcome to the show, Gladys.
Thank you, Nana. Right, so we tackle a bizarre story from the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. A woman delivered a baby boy and was informed by the hospital that the baby had died. Her demand for the body, well, attracted a weird answer. The baby has been thrown into rubbish and burnt. Now, we ask what you would do in such a situation. Has the situation affected your confidence in Ghanaian hospitals? We will be Skyping our Ashanti regional correspondent, Mohammed Nuruddin, to tell us more about this issue. We will also be reading your comments on our social media platforms. We understand the police are investigating the issue. We will follow up on the progress of the investigations. You can join this conversation via our social media platforms, facebook.com/joynewsontv. You could send us a Twitter via twitter.com/joynewsontv. The handles are at joynewsontv and JN Interactive G8. You could also send us email via joynewsim@multitvworld.com. Let's get this conversation running right here on Joy News on Multi TV on JN Interactive. Well, we want the family to also tell their own story, so we discuss the issue.
Suwaiba Abdul Mumin delivered at about 3 a.m. Tuesday morning at A1 at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. She says the newly born baby boy was shown to her looking healthy from physical examination and subsequently laid in the baby's cot. Moments after, she was told her baby has passed on. She inquired about the body of the baby, which the nurse in charge replied was to be placed in a box and her name written on it for easy identification. Suwaiba was later transferred to A2, a block at the hospital where she disclosed the death to the family. The family insisted they must get the body for burial as Islam demands. all efforts to get the body of the baby yielded no results. Mother-in-law Mafati Adams tells Joy News she was made to pay 5 Ghana cedis by one of the nurses but did not get the body. She said they were later told to wait for the mortuary attendant who would complete the necessary paperwork, after which the body will be released.
No. I said, the children so one ya buy a person was one or your home, and there can Dr. Fonsi or Boa do a figure.
After confronting hospital authorities, the brother-in-law, Mohammed Sharifuddin, was asked to give the woman's name to facilitate the process of identification, but that could not resolve the issue. Later, a dead body of a baby girl was released to them, but the family refused to take the body because they had been told initially that the baby was a baby boy. According to Mohammed Sharifuddin, the nurses at the hospital subsequently informed him that a cleaner had swept the body of the baby together with rubbish and burnt it. The family doubted all accounts of hospital authorities and believed the baby is not dead. Suweiba Abdul Mumin wants her baby.
Omuchire me say baby na ewu but o man for baby ni funa anchire me omuka say owu na omode chichire enyiram do kwato ente mika say me pe baby no body o musi o mati omode be man omode be two box enu anu me hu baby no bi say me hia me baby body so me hu me body na atete say dien kura me pe body no na me de na be fi na ya anya baby di akwato.
Joy News investigations indicates the cleaner, who is said to have swept the body of the baby together with rubbish, is currently in police custody for questioning. Meanwhile, the police is scheduled to speak to the family of the woman.
Very bizarre there. Well, now let's go directly to Ashanti region to talk to our correspondent, Mohammed Nuruddin via Skype. Hello, Mohammed. Mohammed, can you hear me? Hello, Mohammed.
I can hear you, Gladys. I can hear you very loud and clear.
All right. So far, what have you been finding out? You've been following on this issue.
Well, the nurses on duty were supposed to meet. They were supposed to go to the regional police command and then so that they will be questioned. And in the afternoon, we were told that the nurses couldn't make it. But some few minutes ago, I had an information that the police went to the hospital to interrogate these nurses. And those on duty, they have only a few of them who were on duty. They spoke to some of them, they interrogated them. But the rest, I'm told, will be met on Monday to question them as part of the investigation process.
But what exactly is the hospital saying about the situation?
Authority over there are saying they would collaborate with the police to get to the bottom end of this matter, and so they would provide every necessary information to the police to make sure they will find those behind this incident.
Does it look like it's a practice done by the hospital that when a baby is born and dies, the hospital just wraps it and throws it away into the rubbish and burns just like that?
Not really, Gladys. It is not done that way. What we have been told is that it's not done that way. Some of them are surprised that this has happened. This has happened, and they are saying information we are also gathering elsewhere indicates that this kind of situation, it is not yet confirmed, but we have been told by people we've been speaking with that this kind of situation happened in the hospital for some time now, and for that matter, they would like the police to make a very thorough investigation to find those behind this act. And Gladys, yesterday I was speaking to the brother-in-law of the woman, Mohammed Sharifuddin, and he told me that before he left the office, the hospital, when they told him they could not find the baby and he was leaving the hospital to the house to get the family informed, one of the security men told him to go back, and that the baby, he should go back and insist that they must produce the baby. He should go back because he thinks that the baby is there. That one of the security men told him to go back. So he went back, and he went back and made a lot of effort, but that couldn't yield any positive results. So he has to go back home and then report the incident to the family. And as I'm speaking now, they are very, very serious about this issue. They are saying they will make sure the police, they will make sure the hospital will be able to tell them why the baby got lost, that if the baby had died, then they should be able to produce the body. And if they are not able to produce the body, it means the baby is not dead, it's somewhere. So that is what they are expecting the hospital to do now.
But generally, Nuruddin, how are people in the Ashanti region taking in this news?
Yeah, I can say that they are very surprised. Most of those who have heard this on the media are very, very surprised. They are saying they are saying that the lady shouldn't give up at all, because it really pains for a woman to go through 9 good months, and at the end of the day, just within some few minutes, and they will tell her that the baby is nowhere to be found. And so they are saying the baby should press on, the family should press on and make sure they produce the baby. And we have been gathering that, earlier we said the police were going to meet the family and then also take the statements of the woman. This was done this morning. They went to the family house, they spoke with the woman, and they gathered the information that the woman had. And I think now the police have enough information from the family, and we are hoping that with this information, police will get those behind this act.
All right. Mohammed, thank you so much. But keep following. Give us updated progress report on this issue. We are very much interested. We have been interacting with my colleague, Mohammed Nuruddin, our Ashanti regional correspondent, who has been updating us on the progress made so far on investigations concerning a baby who died at delivery. And, well, according to hospital authority, the baby has been swept and burnt up among rubbish. Quite... I'm lost of words. Well, so we have also been joined via telephone ASP Mohammed Tanko, who is the PRO for the Ashanti Regional Police Command. We'll be finding out from him what exactly, whether they have actually been investigating issues like this in the region. Hello, DSP. ASP, sorry, hello. ASP Tanko.
Yeah, I'm on ASP.
Right, sorry about that. Let me try to find out, what can you tell us about the burnt baby situation?
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. What I can tell you is that last Wednesday, a lady came to the Central Police Station in Kumasi to report that she gave birth at the hospital. That's the Confanoche Teaching Hospital. And the baby was shown to her, and later on, nurses took the baby to Barford. But they came to tell her the baby was dead. So she wanted to see the body, but up to now she's not been able to see the body, and that she's concerned. So she came to the police station to report. We made the hospital authorities aware that such a complaint has been made with us, and so they should release the nurses who were on duty, that is the nurses who attended to the lady, to come to assist us with our investigations. But yesterday they brought a cleaner in, that he was the one suspected to have disposed of the body without authority. we still insisted that, yes, we've taken caution statements from the cleaner, but we still need the nurses who were on duty. But that's at the time I was leaving the office this evening. The nurses have not shown up. So we detailed investigators to find out why the nurses couldn't show up to give us their statements. So we are investigating the case. We would like to find out whether indeed the child is dead, and also why the lady was not made to see the body of her own child.
Have you ever investigated a situation like this before?
It is not something that I would like to talk about, but let's concentrate on this particular case that has come and deal with it.
I see. Well, so when will the investigations be complete? When do you think it can be complete?
Yeah, we cannot give a time frame by which the investigations will be complete, but we are assuring that we will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this matter.
ASP, I think we are interested. We would like to know the trend. Is this common? That is why I want to find out whether you have investigated any situation like this before.
Yes, I did tell you that let's concentrate on this particular issue that has come. In the past, there have been complaints, investigations were instituted. I can't tell you offhand, or I can't just remember what the outcome was or what the investigations revealed. But certainly there had been complaints in the past.
I see. So eventually, would the police also be making any provision to prevent such occurrence in the system?
It will be very difficult for the police to do anything to prevent a reoccurrence. But what we are going to do is to investigate this matter. If if we are able to establish any criminal act in it, then the law will take its course. If we are unable to establish that, then it behoves on the hospital authorities to institute proper arrangements to ensure that mothers who have given birth to their babies do not go through what this lady is going through.
All right. ASP Tanko, thank you very much for joining us. We have also been trying to find out from ASP Tanko. He is the Ashanti Regional Police Command PRO, and he has been telling us how far they have made progress with investigations into the bizarre story that happened at the Comfort Nochi Teaching Hospital. Let's see what you have been telling us on WhatsApp. So we have from Gilbert Asylum, who says the lady has got every right to see the dead body to confirm what the midwives said. Na Lamioko says, God have mercy. God definitely have mercy. Well, let's see who's next. Abdul Fongo says, that is not fair at all. How can we believe this fiction? The midwives should be made to face the law. We don't do that in Ghana. Exactly. Well, so let's see. Dro Deladem says, I will go and summon them at the law court. Exactly. This is not a story to tell at all. Well, let's see. What more do we have on WhatsApp? We have this coming from Ruben Griffiths Bequeen, who says, she must sue the hospital. Our families wants to bury their dead or hospital. Exactly my question. Exactly my question. Who buries the dead? Ali Musteven says, on whose order did they burn the child? I smell something mischievous. GH Pa. Alimo Steven. Oh, well, everybody's suspicious so far. Morris says, insist to get the baby's body. I just added the body for you. Insist to get the baby. Well, Ali Hassan says, multi-million question that needs to be asked. Well, let me just take my last comment on WhatsApp. Abdullah Courage says, this is a bad act. Yes, this really, well, I haven't, well, let's see. What have you also been telling us on Facebook. Let me just take a few of your comments, and then we'll hit the streets and seek your comments to what you think of this situation. Well, so today we tackle a bizarre story about a baby who at delivery died, and the hospital say that, well, the baby has been rubbished and burnt among rubbish by a cleaner. Well, let's see. Hakim Nuruddin says, for goodness sake, why on earth should a person do this to your fellow human being? But God is there to judge everyone. For 9 months, I have carried my baby. For it to have ended like this? Why? Nurses of Kath. Well, Asajo says, yes, especially the big hospitals. I believe the baby is sold to some couple or ritualists, and I believe this has been going on for some time now. Samuel Bafwasari says, she should call for the arrest, that's all. Kofiche Humphrey says, unbelievable. Ahiamaji Felix says, very, very wicked. Well, Brima Martin says, very bad. How many babies have they burned so far? They must be arrested, all those concerned. I agree. They definitely must answer questions. This story, it's not told in a way. Right, so let's see what some of you have also been telling us to our cameras.
The first, I feel sorry. And moreover, I'll blame them for not seeing my child. You should have told me before burning him. So I can't do anything. And so I just leave it. It's part of our human's life.
How come that my wife bear a conceive and want to deliver, and he want to bury my child without informing me? If he die, at least I have to see the dead body myself. I have to identify my dead body and see that this is my daughter or my son and he's dead. But without that, you come and tell me story that my baby are there, I don't think it's fair. I'll make sure that the police do investigation to find us.
When my wife go to the hospital and the baby is dead or the baby is bent, I have to see where they bend the baby. They cannot just tell me that they bend the baby and then that's all. At least I have to argue with the doctors for me to see where the child is bent. But the next step, at least, I have to send them to court.
One, you've lost your baby. Secondly, you didn't even have a look at the baby. So, in one way or the other, I'll take them to court. I'll sue them.
Well, so those are some of your views expressed. Indeed, this story really has to get results, positive results through the investigations. Well, somebody's, let me just go back to Facebook. Asabri Kwabena Sabri says, should the president's wife be given such a heartless response when a similar event happens? I mean, you don't treat ordinary civilians like trash. She had a baby. If the child is truly dead, what prevents you, well, from making her see the baby rather than adding pain to injury? I think it's unethical, irrational, and insensitive. We should stop making Ghana a living hell for ourselves. Well, Ebenezer Kuntuo Asari says, I'm not surprised at all. It's real in hospitals. Other hospitals, a patient don't have a say. Really? Well, I see. In this modern Ghana, it happens, and people go through it and tolerate it. Right. Well, we'll be following up on those issues. Philip Akwando says, we are human rights activists. They should make Komfanochi Teaching Hospital produce a baby, whether alive or dead. I think suing those responsible would produce results. Well, yeah, everybody on duty that day needs to answer that question. Well, Florence Dede Bukuda says, why would you burn somebody's baby without informing her? They should stop the cock and bull story. They sold the baby. Simple. In fact, those involved should be dismissed. Simple. Stephen Luttrell says, when humans die in Ghana, their family members bury them. So the nurses or whosoever said the child has been burnt should be sued because dead bodies are not burnt in Ghana, but rather buried. Well, so if you want to burn a dead body, there are procedures to follow. You don't just use your own decision to go ahead with that. Ideas Dos Santos says, trouble. Whether dead or alive, they should provide the baby. Hassan Sula says, thrown in the rubbish and burnt. share GH hospitals. Well, that is not acceptable. She should be jailed. That's coming from Alifa Mutawalkilu. Well, Inkwe Moses says can't be. Yabwa Dikata Main Dominic says, I'm not very surprised because this is all due to the economic hardships prevailing in Ghana. I will not be surprised if worse things happen in the days ahead. That's Ghana for all of us. Oh, Yabwa. So now, if we want to blame everything on economic crisis, economic hardship, well, Richard Wahin Ajaman says, this should be a test case. Workers in our health sector are almost like gods. They do as they please with apologies to no one. People die every day anyway. Randolph says, I don't think this is a true story. If it is true, then the mother of the said burnt baby must take the matter up. Yes, she's taking the matter up. Owusu Dominic says, what's all this, Ghana? Right, let me just take about 2 more and wrap up. Vinolia Konyo says, it is either the baby has been stolen by someone that the nurses didn't know what to say, so they cooked this story to the woman, or they stole it themselves. Whichever way there's a stealing. Well, Isaac Ahmadi says, it is sad to hear such a story from this reputable hospital, and it's a disgrace to staff of the hospital and entire Ghanaian hospitals. That is very, very sad story, and we wish the parents of the baby all the best. They should get to the bottom of this issue. Well, so on this note, I wrap up the JN Interactive. Nana, this is really very sad.
What a bizarre story for a Friday weekend, but we're hoping that the police will be able to unravel the mystery surrounding the baby.
Sure.
Let's tell you what to expect at 8 o'clock. After meeting with the University of Ghana Council on Thursday, yesterday, the committee is tasked by the Speaker of Parliament to investigate the University of Ghana's decision to charge users of its roads tolls, has approved the toll. The committee has given the University of Ghana the go-ahead to charge tolls.
Well, so traders at the Kotokraba market say the delay by authorities in reconstructing the new market is making them lose thousands of cedis. According to the traders, poor security at the current site is causing them to lose their wares to thieves at night. The details, watch out during 8.
Thanks so much for having been part of the show for this one. Now, we're so grateful, and we're back here Monday, but there's more on this network. My name is Bright.
My name is Gladys Hosai Orejo, and it's weekend, so have fun, but don't do what Nana will be doing.
And we'll see you on the white carpet tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Yes, we're talking Valentine's, so if you're planning your love life, join us, and you'd have solution to that.
See you.